After my grandfather passed away, I inherited his farmhouse at the edge of a thick, whispering forest. The place had a strange, quiet charm, the kind you appreciate during the day, but fear once the sun sets. I moved in to escape city life, thinking the countryside would offer peace and healing. I brought only a few things with me. But the most important was Bruno, my loyal German shepherd who had been with me since my teenage years. Bruno was unusually restless from the very first evening. As I unpacked boxes, he kept pacing near the back door, whining softly, then barking toward the dense tree line. I assumed he was just adjusting to the new environment. Maybe he smelled some wildlife. But there was something in his eyes. Not curiosity, not excitement. Fear mixed with duty. That night, around midnight, I was jolted awake by a low growl. Bruno stood at the foot of my bed, alert, his ears perked. He dashed out of the room and toward the back door. I grabbed a flashlight and followed him out into the chilly night air. The moon was full, casting silver shadows over the long grass and worn toolshed out back. Bruno stood perfectly still, eyes fixed on something near the shed. His body was tense, like a stretched wire about to snap. That's when I heard it, the unmistakable sound of hissing. Dry, deep, too loud for a regular snake. I pointed the flashlight toward the sound. There was a massive snake coiled near the shed's base. Its scales shimmered black and green, and it didn't flinch under the light. It just stared, tongue flickering, eyes unblinking. Bruno let out a thunderous bark and lunged toward it. The snake recoiled, hissing louder, but slithered back into the darkness without striking. I stood frozen, heart pounding. I'd seen snakes before, but not like that. It didn't move like a wild animal. It moved like it knew something. The next day, I searched the area but found no sign of the snake. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it had wandered in from the woods and would move on. But that night, at the exact same time, Bruno growled again. It was like clockwork. We stepped outside, and sure enough, there it was. Same snake, same spot, same silence. Again, Bruno faced down, standing like a guardian between me and the shed. The snake stared for a while, then vanished into the trees. It was eerily calm, as if the whole thing was rehearsed. By the third night, I didn't sleep. I sat up in bed with the flashlight already in my hand. At midnight, Bruno growled, and we stepped outside together, like two soldiers on patrol. The snake was there again, its unblinking eyes reflecting the moonlight. Bruno stood guard, refusing to let it come any closer. I started to notice details. The snake wasn't just appearing. It was arriving from the same direction every night, from the woods, toward the shed. And then it would leave when Bruno chased it off. It wasn't random. It was a pattern. Bruno knew it. I was starting to understand it. By the fifth night, I felt the dread before it even arrived. I opened the back door at 11:55 p.m., and Bruno was already there. We waited. At exactly midnight, the hissing began. The snake slid into view again. But this time, it paused before fully revealing itself, almost as if it was testing something. Bruno didn't growl immediately. He stared, alert yet confused. The snake stared back. Then I noticed something chilling. The snake wasn't looking at Bruno. It was looking at me. That's when I began to wonder, what if this wasn't about territory or instinct? What if it was personal by the sixth night? My nerves were fraying. The snake's visits had become a twisted routine. Every night, same time, same place. But it was a stare that haunted me now. That cold, intelligent gaze. I had stopped sleeping. Bruno, too, had become more protective, sleeping by the door, barely touching his food. It was like he knew we were being watched, or worse, targeted. During the day, I wandered aimlessly around the property, trying to figure out why the snake kept returning. Why the shed? It was old, barely standing, full of rusted tools and moldy shelves. My grandfather had never let me go near it as a child. He'd padlocked it and told me it was dangerous, that it wasn't for me to worry about. Back then, I assumed it was just old man paranoia. Now I wasn't so sure. Out of desperation, I went to the only person in the area who might know something. Mrs. Grayson, our 78-year-old neighbor who lived a mile down the road. She'd known my grandfather for decades. When I asked her about the shed, she grew quiet. Her weathered face tightened, and her lips pursed like she was chewing on a memory that didn't taste right. "Your grandfather never told you anything?" she finally asked. "Just that I shouldn't go near it," I said. "That it was dangerous." She sighed and looked out her window, her voice dropping. "He buried something there. Years ago. People around here talked about it, but he never admitted to it. Something cursed, something he should have left alone. Cursed." I almost laughed, but her expression stayed deadly serious. "He went up that mountain, where the trees grow twisted and the birds don't sing. Came back with a box and told people to stay away. After that, the animals started disappearing. A little girl from the village got bit by a snake in her sleep. No one ever proved anything, but the timing was too perfect. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. What was in the box? No one knows, but he buried it under that shed and sealed the ground himself. After that, he never walked right again, limped till the day he died. I left her house shaken. My grandfather had always been secretive, but a cursed object? That sounded like a campfire tale. And yet, every night, the snake returned. Bruno, my dog, my protector, met it head-on, like he knew what was under that shed. That night, I didn't wait for midnight. I grabbed a shovel and a flashlight and headed to the shed at 10 p.m. Bruno followed, his ears back and tail stiff. I had to break the old lock, which crumbled with one hit from a rock. Inside, the smell of rot and rust made me gag. I started digging behind the shed, near the foundation. The soil was hard and dry, as if it hadn't been disturbed in decades. Bruno circled me, whining low in his throat, like he was begging me not to keep going. 3 feet down, my shovel hit something solid. Wood. I cleared away the dirt and found a rotting box about the size of a toolbox. It was wrapped in black cloth, stiff with age. I hesitated, then slowly pulled out and opened the lid. Inside were bones. Small, blackened finger bones. Human. I nearly dropped it, but something else caught my eye. A bundle of cloth wrapped tightly, bound with string. I opened it and found a strange amulet inside. It was carved from stone, shaped like a coiled snake biting its own tail, with markings I couldn't understand. The moment I touched it, the air around me changed. A pressure pressed on my chest like something invisible was watching, waiting. Bruno growled, loud, sharp. Behind us, from the woods, came the hissing. But it wasn't midnight yet. The snake had come early. Bruno pushed himself in front of me, growling louder now, back arched and teeth bared. I looked at the amulet, then at the snake that slowly slithered into view, eyes fixed not on Bruno this time, but directly on me, the way a predator looks at something it's claimed. And I realized the truth. The snake wasn't guarding something. It was trying to take it back. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? After unearthing the cursed box and touching the amulet, the air around the farmhouse had changed. The wind no longer whistled. It howled, like it was warning something inside the walls. Bruno refused to leave my side, his growls lower and more constant. Even when I tried to pet him, he flinched like he sensed something near me he couldn't protect me from. I kept the amulet on the kitchen table, wrapped in cloth. But even from across the room, I could feel it pulling at me, tugging something deep inside my chest like a string caught between two worlds. At one point, I swear I heard whispering, faint like wind through reeds. But the words were cold and rhythmic, not in any language I knew. As midnight approached, the temperature dropped sharply, my breath fogged in the air. Bruno stood by the back door, muscles taut, teeth bared. The snake came early again, this time at 11:45 p.m. I saw it slide silently from the tree line, its massive body coiling through the grass, scales glinting with unnatural shimmer. But this time, it didn't stop at the shed. It slithered right up to the back steps. I backed away, stumbling over a chair. Bruno leapt forward, placing himself between the door and the serpent. The glass in the window fogged from my panicked breath. The snake raised part of its body off the ground and hissed, not like an animal, but almost like a warning. Its eyes, those impossibly black, ancient eyes, locked on mine. And in that moment, I knew it was speaking to me, not in words, but in meaning. Return it, or pay the price. I grabbed the cloth-wrapped amulet with trembling hands and stepped outside. The cold hit me like a slap, and the snake froze. Bruno snarled but didn't attack. He looked at me, waiting. The snake's tongue flicked, testing the air. I placed the amulet on the ground between us. The snake did not move. I don't know what this is, I said aloud, my voice shaking. But I don't want it. Take it back. The moment the words left my mouth, the ground beneath the amulet began to shift. The dirt moved, not from wind or animals, but from beneath, as if something ancient was stirring. The amulet sank into the soil slowly, vanishing as if swallowed by the earth. And that's when it all went wrong. The snake let out a piercing shriek. Yes, shriek, a sound that didn't belong in nature. It recoiled and thrashed, knocking over flower pots and kicking up clouds of dust. Bruno barked furiously, charging at it. But this time, the snake didn't retreat. It struck, fast like a whip. Bruno dodged, narrowly avoiding the venomous fangs. The two circled each other, one fueled by instinct, the other by something much darker. I screamed for Bruno, helplessly clutching a rusted garden tool. The snake lunged again, and this time, Bruno bit down. His jaws clamped around its neck, and he didn't let go. They crashed into the shed wall, which splintered. Bruno was bleeding, but didn't release his grip. The snake coiled around him, squeezing tight, trying to crush him, but he growled with pain and clamped tighter. And then it happened. The ground beneath them cracked open. A deep, gaping split right in the shed. Black smoke poured out. The snake let out another shriek, trying to pull away, but Bruno held on. No! I screamed, rushing forward. But it was too late. Both of them fell. The earth sealed shut behind them like a wound healing. The silence afterward was unbearable. I fell to my knees, calling Bruno's name over and over, tears pouring down my face. There was no sound, no movement, just a cold wind, and the stars blinking above like they didn't care. I stayed there until morning, numb and broken. It's been weeks now. The snake never came back. But neither did Bruno. People ask me why I don't leave the farmhouse, why I still sit on the back steps every night. Because I'm waiting, not for the snake, for him. Sometimes, late at night, I hear soft paw steps outside my door. And sometimes, I swear, I feel warm breath against my hand in the dark.